Hello, happy Monday. Very wavy. I feel like that's your new catchphrase, Alessio. Every time I see you in like videos, you're always waving. Hello, so welcome back, Myra. Awesome. All right, let's get started. We've got lots on the agenda today, but some of these may work async as well, but just to give you a heads up. So I'm going to start dropping in the current Mttp each week, just because it doesn't unfurl on Slack anymore, which is less than helpful. One thing to note from last week is we had the key metrics meeting, which is a monthly meeting. I shared in that or I updated on the handbook on that current Mttp link ahead of that, just the reasons why it spiked up in February. And that was really because we got a little bit unlucky on dates, really. And we had the PCL at the end of January because of the incidents. And then almost immediately after that, we had the two incidents back to back, which were both from the post deployment migrations timing out and the locks. Just having those all together looks pretty unhappy on Mttp, but no, there were no concerns raised. One of the things we will be doing in the next month or so is Davis is going to have a look for us whether we can actually start tracking Mttp over working days. So at the moment it's a view over the whole month, which we've talked about a little bit before. Like, we have no intention to deploy at weekends. So Davis is going to see if he can actually update this chart to just track against work days. Cool. And then on the announcements, so these are just mostly so you have a little okay, these announcements getting increasingly better. So I'll start with the really dull one, which is just I'm off Friday. And then two FYIs, just again, related to the incidents, particularly database stuff. There is a group now has sprung up to try and investigate these, and also Broken Master, so particularly relevant for Robert Urich right now. If you do, there was some kind of questions earlier, like a few months ago, about whether dev escalation could be pulled into those. So that's been confirmed, and you can, if you need someone to unblock a broken master urgently, you can use the dev escalation process. And Skarbek, this is the most exciting announcement of the week.
I mean, I'll talk about it during a little bit later, but
okay.
Yeah, I'll talk. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
okay. Cool. So Robert.
Yes, so I noticed last week that we are currently building Ubuntu 20.04 packages for auto-deploy tags, and then they're never downloaded by anything. So I'm wondering if we actually need those. I was just looking into it. It looks like distribution added it to the configuration specifically. So I'll check with them and see if we actually need it.
I just posted some information that we.
Yeah, I know we are in the process of upgrading it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, we're upgrading to 18 or 20?
18. We have a lot of Chef Cookbook issues that's preventing us from upgrading to 20.
Okay, so we definitely shouldn't need 20 at this point, right?
Supposedly.
Okay, I'll check with distribution. Amy, security timeline.
Perfect. Thanks for bringing that, Robert. Nice. Cool. So yeah, security release timeline. Thanks for opening up the issue, Robert. It's just, I think my main question was really, when are we going to start when are we going to disable the nightly package upload?
I just did that this morning.
Perfect. Okay, great stuff. Okay. The reason I mentioned that is just one thing that was interesting in the run up to 13.9 was one of the late sort of finding bugs that we had was the GitLab performance issue that we saw. One of the reasons that was late was because we did the security release the week before. And whilst we have the nightly packages disabled, we lose some test visibility. So that was actually, that was an interesting one, like no problem there, but we should just keep that in mind, maybe a future a future iteration improvement. So.
But in that case, was also unfortunate in terms of dates, I think, because we split the security release in 2 times. So it was very close to release date. So now it shouldn't be a problem because we are at the beginning of the development cycle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no problem at all here. Yeah, it was more just a nightly package stuff might be more interesting than certainly I was thinking it was. So, yeah, but yeah, no problems this week at all. So nice. Cool. So culture amp stuff. So we did the engagement survey some months ago. There are still kind of conversations going on to get actions from these. So I just wanted to mostly give you a little bit of visibility for this stuff. So I dropped the team stuff in there just in case you haven't seen that recently, and also for you, Henry. And then we have a department issue, and then we have a sub-department issue. So those two are both in progress. You're welcome to just like follow along, or if you want to suggest things. But I suppose from a team point of view, is there anything that people specifically want to focus on as an area that we should be pulling actions from? Like, I know we've got there's been kind of conversations around reasons why some of the areas might have scored low, but would it, like, do you actually want as a team to actually, we could certainly do async, but like, do you want to try and set some actions within the team for this, or do you want to stick with the sub-department and department ones? And let me reframe that. Like, is there anyone here who would like to spend some time on this as a team? Like, feel free to just wave or something, or yeah, we'll go with a quick vote. So okay, because I think what we're seeing is that there's quite a lot of similarities in the results at sub-department level and also at department level. So there will be some actions that come out of these things. There's already a discussion going on about career conversations and making sure that those are happening more consistently across all of engineering. And as part of those, we'll also be looking at like, how do we get more opportunities? So like, to your point, Henry and our sort of doc about like, how do we create opportunities for mentoring and things like that when we don't have any juniors? Like, there are things we can do, but we will make sure that we actually do those. Cool. Okay, well, I'll keep you posted on these things. So you've got the issues there if you want to add any comments, or I will keep you posted when things get decided. Cool. So I'd like to get your thoughts on this. So something I do each week is update our epics with just a sort of short summary of what we've been up to. But it would be really helpful for me if actually this came from you'll like the DRIs, just to kind of streamline this a little bit for me. So if I add in the status section on the actual working epics that I'm like an update for, would you as a DRI be okay with just adding a sentence or two each week, which basically is like what we've done, what we've kind of worked on recently, why we did those things, and what the next steps are for that epic?
I think for the Kubernetes work, like Epic 112 is the overall one, but we're not going to see status updates on that. We're going to see the status on the ones that we're actively working on, which in this case is Epic 271. Would a status be more useful on that epic, or do we still want that stuff at the header of the migration of all things?
Yeah, it will be I'll have a look through the epics and work out where it'll best land. It's probably the at the moment it's probably like the API service level. Okay. Just to kind of wrap that stuff up. What I'll do ideally is automate pulling this up into our kind of more of our top level epics. What we're seeing more of is that people outside of delivery and even outside of infrastructure are landing more on these parent epics and actually using them to like help prioritize projects and using like decisions. So the dates and those sorts of things are going to become more important. So I'll start doing this a lot more consistently. So. Cool. Okay, I'll stick in the like a summary, status section on each of the working epics that I'd like an update on. I'll ping you so that if you have something, and then happy to bounce around what that looks like for the first few weeks until we get into a rhythm of that stuff as well.
Maybe it would be great to have some kind of reminder every week so that we don't forget about it, because I would definitely sometimes forget to do the update by myself. And being manually pushed by you, I mean, that's maybe not the greatest thing. Maybe we can have some, I don't know,
That's a great
automatic
point,
reminder
yeah.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah, we can add something into like a new Slack reminder or something like that. Yeah, it's a great point. Cool. Awesome. Nice. Myra.
Yep, thanks. So the dev department has an OKR about improving the knowledge around developments and the infrastructure. And currently, they want to encourage team members to join the delivery AMA, which I think is nice. So I wonder if any of you have any other ideas about how to improve the deployment knowledge. I think we have some doc pages that we can link, but not sure if like any of you have a better idea than that.
I think we tried this in the past where we wanted developers to, or we tried in the past was to have developers do release management, which I think at the time we concluded was basically a disaster. Not so much like they messed things up, but people didn't want to do it or didn't have the time. It was difficult. But I do think some sort of buddy program, whatever you'd like to call it there, where they attend that to some degree will be helpful. Because I think if you have people just join an AMA, it's going to be just the people who are, I would say, already interested. But you're going to have a lot of people like, yeah, I don't really care. Whereas I think if you say, hey, for the next 2 weeks, you're going to, I don't know, read up on these incident issues or whatever, something like that. I'm not sure, though, how to make that work in practice, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a really good point. It's certainly something in the past I have chatted to the other engineering managers about, because I think I would hope that they're the people closest to knowing who wants to develop like these skills and like what sort of time pressures we have here. So yeah, maybe it's a case of identifying a couple of people who we could do this stuff with. Certainly, I think the AMA is a great first step. Like, we don't get too many developers in there. So I think it certainly seems like a good first step to get engagement there with people. Like, you have to have done a little bit of reading, I think, to turn up there and ask a question. So that's a great start, right? And then we can see if we get some people who are regularly engaged there and that's not enough, then yeah, we can maybe expand it. Actually, though, as I say that, the other big ones we have are, of course, every week we do a rollbacks demo and a Kate's demo, right? They could both be, they're both public. People could definitely come along and maybe fits in with our production rollback plans to try and get people engaged there.
I'm curious as to what we would do outside of our documentation. Like, we've got plenty of docs that discuss the need to, and this, it looks like this is focused on multi-version compatibility. At least that's the documentation we linked to inside of this issue. What else are we trying to convey or teach to members of engineering?
I was thinking about this last week. Actually, I had a coffee chat with Brent and we were discussing exactly this topic. And I was thinking that a nice idea could be, it requires time for preparation, but having some kind of short videos, no longer than 5 minutes, explaining just one topic, very actionable, very kind of a conversation starter, right? Because the problem with extensive documentation is that people don't want to read, don't read it. That's the problem, right? So we have this expanding contract pattern, which is very big and explained with example. We have a lot of example about database migrations and how to handle all this type of situation. But what happens is that either you screwed up and create a big mess in production and you got involved in the incident and in corrective actions, and then you read that page, and then the next time you know how to handle it, or is really, really hard that someone just go there and read it. Sometimes you are able to direct someone to in that documentation during, let's say, a merge request review, but it's a lot to digest. So if we have some kind of video collection of, yeah, maybe I would say 5 to 10 minutes, but 5, I think it's already enough to just explain one topic. And then linking to some real documentation where you can go deeper and deeper and understanding, maybe it can help. Because, yeah, you say 5 minutes a week, I can just watch one every week.
I have an alternate proposal. So TikTok has a limited video length runtime of 1 minute. YouTube also has this new feature called Shorts. They're trying to break into the TikTok space. I think Delivery should have its own social media account. Thank you.
Bold, bold. Henry, do you want to verbalize?
Yeah, I mean, we could try to see if the dev onboarding already contains some links to documentation of how deployments are working, what they should look for reviewing MRs and so on. So maybe that would also be an idea to spread the knowledge. But that would not affect the people who already onboarded, of course. So for them, we maybe can have an extra issue to, I don't know, go and check that again.
There's also the drinking from the fire hose phase, which is quite common at the beginning at GitLab. And well, I don't think that this is your first concern where you try to just get your first merge request merged. And with hiring freeze as well, it's kind of, yeah, it's in onboarding, but nobody will read it. But yes, I think if there's no links there, maybe also just something if you want to know about deployment, and then there's kind of an index so that you can just bookmark it and go back later to it. But yeah, I think it's a good point.
Yeah, it makes sense. What do we want to do as next steps? Like, is this something worth opening an issue to gather like video ideas and like topic ideas and see what documentation and videos we might have already or we could create, or
Yeah, I can open an issue and gather all the ideas that we just said here. Thank you.
Great stuff. Thanks for that. Nice. Awesome. Is there anything else anyone wants to discuss?